Good morning, everyone. Friends, we will discuss some questions in mains recently, the GS mains 2021, paper 1. The geography section, especially few questions of Indian geography and world geography. As you are aware of, that once you deal with the geography questions, this confusion persists in our mind that if we are writing about the geography question, should we have only core geography terms like mountains, rivers, and some scientific aspects? Actually, it is our misconception. Geography is encompassing a larger periphery. We must include even the interdisciplinary approach. So few key points are there whenever we deal with the answers. Okay, which approach we have to keep, as it is GS portion, geography, GS portion. And in GS or general studies, the interdisciplinary approach is needed. Interdisciplinary approach. So I will advise that, okay, once we are dealing with the questions, then multi-dimensional aspects, several facets will be there. And geography is not at all only the physical aspects, but also human aspects, economic, political, socio-cultural. So these kind of things also, one thing in our mind, environmental aspects, interdisciplinary approach with, of course, current affairs. So once you talk about the kind of thing, then you will be well acquainted that every subject has its own way. So geography is encompassing a larger periphery. So our dimensions should be many. And second thing, to assess the geographical questions, it is needed that we have to draw the map and the diagram. Maps and diagrams will definitely give you the extra advantage. It will also beautify your answer, and you will fetch more marks if you have the clear maps and also the diagrams. So to support, you have to use maps, diagrams, as well as the flow chart as required. So these two things are very much required while decoding the geography based questions. Interdisciplinary approach, if economics helping us, then definitely we'll take from here. If any current affairs, government provisions are there, laws, acts, we will do that. If any other aspect, environmental aspect, we will also take up. Even socio-cultural, political, several dimensions we have to incorporate besides the scientific language. That is also very key thing, that very objective scientific language geography has. So answer is in flow as well, systematic as well, due to the scientific temperament of the geography. Plus also, as it is the UPSC, other exams we can take that, okay, questions for granted as well. But in UPSC, we must respect the questions. We must consider all of a sudden we haven't to say, okay, I know, I should start. Take a pause. Few moments you will be realizing so many facets of this answer. It will not be written as easily as we are thinking. And this thing is ingrained in our mind. Gradually, then you will be knowing that, okay, whenever we deal with the UPSC question, a sincere, cautious approach is required. Sincere approach with honest effort will definitely make sure a distinction in your answer. Your word selection will be definitely according to that. So I will advise even that it is UPSC, respecting the questions, and definitely the questions are having several dimensions with deep thought. So we must accordingly responding. So whenever we discuss any important topic, then definitely according to that we have to behave as well. So once we attempt the answers, then these things we must keep in our mind. So let's start the questions. For example, the question number 5, that is one question here. And this question is actually the question that despite India being one of the countries of the Gondwana land, its mining industry contributes much less to its gross domestic product or GDP in percentage discussed. You know it very well that complete question with cool mind we have to, okay, first is read that. Okay, question is that one key point, despite being one of the countries of the Gondwana land. So one key point is here, the Gondwana land. Okay, India is part of the Gondwana land, this thing. And second is regarding the mining industry, the GDP percentage is lesser. So it means we have to consider that, okay, one aspect is Gondwana land aspect, India is part of the Gondwana land, and even despite that, India is not having that kind of mining sector that must be. So it means it is the examiner idea is what? That we are part of that land that is full of minerals. Despite this, we are not responding to that. So first of all, this question is having the economic aspect, the GDP, mining sector. And one aspect is Gondwana land, that is more geological term or very key term, the Gondwana part. So how we have to start, which way we have to think? First of all, we have to consider a view or diagram in our mind, what is Gondwana land. Once you say Gondwana land, then Gondwana land is basically not at all, you can say only Africa, but several, you can say the continents are there. So there must be some ways also. You have to practice a small map. Suppose it is Africa, it is South America. So once South America, Africa join together, even Antarctica also join together, even our land India is like that. That is also joined together with Africa and Antarctica, and this side the Australian area. So you can say that this area is India. So our country remained once the part of the Gondwana land geologically. And in NCERT based information, this is, we are well aware of, okay, we are part of the Gondwana land, southern continent. But also we have to point out, okay, Gondwana land is full of minerals. How can we say? We know Australia. Australia is known for uranium. Australia is also known for iron, number one in uranium, iron, and many more minerals. Australia exporting, coal exporting, or lithium, rare earth mineral that we call. Similarly, the Africa, the cobalt and diamond and gold. Same with South American, Brazilian area, iron and Chile and Bolivia, etc. So you can say we are belonging to that land that is full of minerals. So how can you begin this answer? That India being a part of Gondwana land, like mineral rich Australia and South America and Africa, and India is also endowed with the variety of the minerals. So you may basically एक गोंडवाना लैंड से जोड़कर ऑस्ट्रेलिया साउथ अमेरिका के साथ में दिखाकर you may show that thing. So intro should be like that. We have to consider that our rocks are as hard as older crystalline Gondwana land, old land hai Gondwana land. So this entire area we call Gondwana land, in which white color I have shown this Indian portion. So being a part of the Gondwana land, and Gondwana land worldwide famous for its mineral wealth, either African land or Australia or South America or even the Indian area like Chota Nagpur, Karnataka, etc. So some brief information already we have. So mineral wealth is very high because it is older rock, harder rock, and also with the old time eroded area, minerals got exposed. Rock ऊपर से कट चुकी हैं, इनके minerals expose हो गए हैं in long run. And also time to time by several you can say the changes occurred, some coal formation as well in that area, Australia, India coal rich as well. So in some rift valleys area, the coal area. So we need not to go so much technical terms. We just begin with that, being a part of the mineral rich Gondwana land like Australia, South America and Antarctica and Africa. India is of course also endowed with lots of mineral resources. Then you may connect that thing. Okay, India is also mineral rich, like this part. Then you have to even mention that, however, as far as contribution in the economy, in GDP is very less, as the question is that. So we have to figure it out, the reason behind that, the causes for, we have to identify those causes. Which causes are there despite rich in mineral wealth, being a part of the Gondwana land like Australia, despite rich in mineral resources, same kind of rocks, older rocks, and also hard rock, crystalline rock, metallic rich area, just like Australia, South America right now. So despite rich in mineral resources, the reasons or causes why Indian mining industry is not contributing accordingly, why mining sector of India or mining industries of India not contributing that thing. So we have to identify those things. So one by one you may identify, and the better way of identification, that you can compare little bit with Australia or Brazil area, and if you have certain data of GDP through economic survey, it would be good, but in examination pressure we can't have every data intact. So you can say that unlike Australia, India is having very less share in mining sector. That is a kind of statement. Or unlike Australia, unlike Brazil of Gondwana land, Indian share, because we all are well aware of Australia's exporter of many minerals, uranium and gold, and you can say the coal and many more other mineral as well, iron. Same with South America, same with several African nations. But if I say that in GDP, if little bit you are aware of that, unlike the Australia, if we compare with, in GDP, hardly Indian GDP of mining sector is 2 to 2.5%. That is very, you can say the data of the economic survey, that it is hovering around 2 to 2.5%. That's why less, you can say. So either you remember this data, like agriculture, approximately 15%, dominance of service sector. So key sectors GDP of India you may remember. And then you can compare that Australia is definitely higher, 4 times higher, or more than 10%. So even you do not know, but you may only write that Indian share in GDP is very less, around 2%, unlike other countries, Australia, etc. So that would be a beginning in that perspective, and draw a clear map of Gondwana land. Then you may come to the second part. And what would be the second part? The causes behind that. So if we identify the causes here, then as you put here, that it is the kind of continent, the African area here, and it is the South American area, it is the Indian zone, it is the Antarctica here, it is the Australia, and this land is Gondwana land. India got detached from this area, gradually we moved to northward, and then we collided with the Eurasian area, and also you can say a kind of journey. So little bit idea we have in our mind. But why I am saying that you need not to write that thing. Only introduction you have compared with Australia or other Gondwana land, that we are poor as far as the exploration is concerned, contribution is concerned, merely 2% GDP. Then if we say the causes, then in your opinion, one thing is there, that in India we have the kind of tribal and mining conflicts. Several case studies in recent time, either Dongriya, Kondh, Niamgiri area with Vedanta, or POSCO issue, or Israelite issue, or even we can say that generally we even read about the forested area of the tribal belt, like in Chota Nagpur, etc. So you may think upon that India is, after detaching from the Gondwana land, or the southward, more ocean, more water, then our land is forested area where minerals we have. So hard rock structure is covered by forested area. One thing you can say, that one main reason is that wherever we observe the Indian rocks here, either Jharkhand and also the Chhattisgarh area, etc. That is forested area. So mineral belt of India largely in which area? Old land, hard land, plateau land, largely forested area. If you just consider that thing, then you may begin, you can say the reasons behind that. So some natural constraints we have. Once we will be having the forested area, suppose same thing if you are able to even draw one more map of India, small map again, and if you want to show that part as well, that which area of India is good in mineral resources, then you know very well whenever we say mineral resources, then one area of India, the Chota Nagpur Plateau, always attracted most mineral belt of India. Chota Nagpur, Singhbhum area, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Bengal, and this zone, that is a variety of the mineral, coal, iron, manganese, so on. Similarly, one more belt in South India, Karnataka Plateau, Kolar Goldfield, KGF in our mind. Okay, in this area, tribal belt of Chhattisgarh, Bastar Plateau or Dandakaranya, including Odisha, etc. So even little bit about some area you can say, okay, Chota Nagpur Plateau, Chota Nagpur. Also the Bastar or Dandakaranya region, Baledela mine and many more mine in that region, Odisha, etc. Kalahandi, Bolangir of Odisha. Also Karnataka, famous for gold and also iron. Also this region, the Aravali region. So these are the major older rocks which are famous for the mineral wealth. Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, etc. But maximum area you will be observing, if you just go to these areas, Eastern Ghat even, then you will be finding this belt is forested area. Largely forested area. Even the Aravali in Rajasthan having the vegetation. Then if we go for the mining, unlike desert Australia, lack of vegetation in Australia, on the other hand, Australia like country if you compare, that is quite ahead in the mineral resources, largely desert, dry land, lack of vegetation with less population even, as we are all are aware of. So you have to consider that some kind of dilemma would be there while going for mining. There would be a kind of thing, should we go for deforestation? So you can say this dilemma of deforestation, environmental issues, or also you can say keeping us away from these areas, some environmental constraints like deforestation. So you know very well that one problem of deforestation while going for mining, and not only deforestation or environmental issues like that, even other environmental issues, wildlife loss as well. Then wildlife loss will also be there. So in several, you can say, constraint regarding the wildlife loss, deforestation, the policies like that, we are not able to explore our mineral wealth. So it is quite clear that though we know some areas in India full of mineral resources like Chota Nagpur, Karnataka, Dandakaranya, Aravali belt, these kind of names, even without map also you can mention these are the area, forested area, but due to some environmental issues we are unable to do that, or difficulty is there. So less exploration, or you can say explored area is less. That is very important thing, that we know that these rocks like Australia, like South America, full of mineral resources, but we are unable to do the exploration. Exploration is less. So this is one constraint. Second is what? That once you know the Chhattisgarh, once you know the Jharkhand, once you know this belt Dandakaranya kind of name, then which people in your mind? Tribal culture. So primitive tribes are living, Dongariya, Kondh, and also the Gond area. So we can say that this zone is also having one more thing other than that, the tribal. So tribal belt of India, mineral belt. And once you know that these poor tribal people generally forest dwellers, ये जंगलों में रहने पर डिपेंडेंट हैं, वहाँ की इकोनॉमी उनकी फॉरेस्ट पे डिपेंडेंट है, then once we go for the mining, again the displacement of the tribal people, then it would be the socio-cultural aspects, displacement problem. One problem, the displacement, you can say, or rehabilitation issues will come up. So mining industries, we have to consider that this criteria is also pushing them away. That would be a conflict with tribal masses, or rehabilitation issues will be required, and that will be more socio-cultural in nature. And we have the example of that. For example, in the beginning I told you that in Odisha area, one company, you can give one example. In Odisha, Niyamgiri Hill, one or two example dependent upon you, because once you go for mains examination, you have so much current affairs in your mind, then one or two current affair aspect you may also talk about in that. For example, in Kalahandi region, Dandakaranya belt, Niyamgiri forest or Niyamgiri hill, that is worshipped by one tribe, Dongariya tribe or Dongariya Kond tribe. You can mention the name like one tribe like Dongariya Kond. That was so burning topic in last few years. The Dongariya people have registered not to allow the mining operation, for which company? Vedanta company, a big company, multinational company Vedanta, which came to take out the bauxite of the Niyamgiri. Full of bauxite this area, Niyamgiri area. But despite that, the conflict, you can say Vedanta, MNC, and you can say Dongariya Kond, then this matter reached to Supreme Court. Supreme Court also allowed that if Dongariya Kond in Gram Sabha will allow that, then mining operation can be started. Otherwise, it would be for time being postponed. So you can say a big investment was discouraged by the conflicts in tribal belt. So we are observing that tribals, in fear of their displacement from their forests, they respect, they worship, and also they have this kind of issue that their socio-cultural or regions, another area they will go, rehabilitation will also be not in a proper here. So a number of reasons are there. And generally tribals are also against of mining in that area. So local people have been kept away from the mining operation, and they consider their precious land will be acquired. So issue of land acquisition. So you can even mention there's some key terms, land acquisition. So entire land is not government land. Then land acquisition will also be the issue. A tough deal in India to acquire the land. So land acquisition is also a difficult process. So you can say due to this reason, even other issues also, if you can recall, then one is Pohang Steel Company, POSCO, South Korean company, that is a giant in the steel. In Odisha, again they faced the problem in Odisha. The resistance from the local. Massive investment was discouraged here as well, resistance from the locals. In Odisha, POSCO Steel Company tried to get the iron of this area and setting up one big plant, the POSCO plant in India, in Odisha, but still for decades this project couldn't take up. So that is a negative sentiments for private investment as well we can think of. So tribal issues are there, the forestry issues are there, and some other issues also you may note down afterwards. That not only that, but one more issue you can correlate, the Naxal issue. Once you talk about Dandakaranya, then it is Naxal belt. So even the Naxalism, like in Bailadila mine of Chhattisgarh, so you can say that it is also disrupting the political climate of this area, and investment will be discouraged. The stability is not there. So Naxalism will also discourage the investment in that area. So that will be also the thing. But you can say besides that, some corrupt practices, as we have seen in the past, several corrupt practices, the kind of in this area, the coal mafia, in Karnataka, the iron mafia. So you can say in mining industries also we have seen these kind of terms. You can say some corrupt practices in coal sector. Coal gate scam recently, you can say. So Supreme Court also taken the cognizance. So we have seen that these issues also there. Some in which government is losing the share and illegal mining in several states, either in Karnataka, in Bellary area, or in Dhanbad area, the coal mafia quite dominant in the past, as we have seen. So these kind of things also you may mention in these points. So several points will be there, but I will say that diagram also you must draw. If you are unable to draw the Indian map like that, you can show simply the half map of India. And even if you are able to draw this V shape like that, only Chota Nagpur area, only this side Aravali, and then Karnataka, and this area Dandakaranya, and then little bit about you just describe in that manner with example, like any issue, like Israelite issue of Tamil Nadu, where Thuthukudi, one problem came up there. Similarly, the issue like POSCO, a Niyamgiri issue, a Baladila issue in Chhattisgarh area. So any one issue you can take up, or even if you are unable to recall that, at least through this diagram you may mention that tribal belt, forested area is having one major constraint in that area for the mining. So exploration is less, of course, area we are not getting despite knowing the mineral resources. But which other aspect also you may mention? Other than that, the policies as well. So some administrative aspects or political aspects also you may mention here. And what would be that area in this kind of question? For example, if I say here, the kind of political, or you can say the kind of rules, regulation. So one kind of thing also you can even add in the last of this question, that complex rules and regulation. Generally, we say that complex rules and regulation in mining industries also causing lots of problem. How can you justify that? Really India had the complex rules and regulation, because several amendments we have done in recent time. Mines and Mineral Development Regulation, Amendment 2015, 2016, 2020, 2021. Mineral Policy recently released in 2019. So many coal scam and other kind of, you can say, allocation by the Supreme Court has been also scrapped. So several complex rules and regulation also we can say here, responsible to keep mining sector, not expected lines, you can say, not having the private investment, etc. So which kind of thing in flowchart also you may mention like that. For example, in complex rules, we can say the kind of things, lack of transparency for long time, lack of transparency in allocation, lack of transparency. Very recently, auction provision has been started, but for long time in India, we have seen lack of transparency in allocation. First come, first serve basis allocation of the mines. That led to the corrupt practices there. Also, due to lack of transparency, these matter reached to the Supreme Court and High Courts. Then several, you can say, the allocations were also, you can say, scrapped by the Supreme Court here. Also, we can say that the basically we call lease transfer was not allowed for a long time. Some companies not able to handle the mining area, lease transfer was not possible. So recently we have seen it has been taken up the issue as well, lease transfer. So mining companies felt, you can say, suffocated in that way, was not there earlier. Also, which rigid rule or complex rules, even companies were forced to only use the minerals for particular activities, but they were not allowed to surplus into the market, that we call captive versus non-captive. Captive versus non-captive. So any 2 or 3 point even you remember, even the labor reforms inadequate in that, inadequate labor reforms. Even we can say that poor infrastructure due to rigid rules, and that poor infrastructure also separately also you may mention, inadequate infrastructure, poor infrastructure in the tribal belt, forested area, poor infrastructure. So it was not easy for the movement as well. So besides complex rules and regulation, poor infrastructure point also you may say. So lack of roads, lack of railway tracks, lack of ports in surrounding area, lack of waterways in that area. So transportation of the mining products were not easy. Processed product also was not easy, you can say. So several rules, complex rules, delay, etc. Even matter reached to the courts, then delay by court as well. So we have to accept that due to lack of transparency, the kind of policies were like that, then clarity was not much, and monopoly as well, indirectly some monopoly on the name of nationalization. Then the kind of companies, very few companies, so competition was lacking due to that as well. Less competition also you can say. So once you just figure it out, then once you apply your current affairs skill as well, then few key points you may take out and you may show through the flow chart as well that part. And also in the last, the poor infrastructure. So these have been the major causes that side by side several countries in the Gondwana land, Australia, Brazil performed so good, but India, despite having so much rich in these minerals like these countries, unable to explore the worth. So if I say that our exploration has been very less and our private investment has been very less, and we haven't seen the advanced technologies, rather monopoly led to the obsolete technology, coal mafia, etc. With obsolete technology in the mining industries, obsolete technologies, the tribal areas, the people also not so satisfied because their area was undeveloped, and also you can say the welfare schemes were also missing. So more you can say the rift between the tribals and the companies there. So that also led to the Naxalism and many more issues in that area subsequently. So altogether, if you make this picture, then you may be able to say here. So what I am saying that at this time I am giving you so many points, but in examination pressure, hardly 2 or 3 points will be in your mind. But if you get one clue, okay, it is the forested area, then I am sure you will recall the tribal. And then forested tribal, then you will say, okay, the problem will be there, displacing them, land acquisition, cutting the trees will not be easily allowed here. Then you may again come to the poor infrastructure in dense forest area. Also, if you have some idea, the coal scam, etc., then you can say, okay, the more illegal ways, a lack of transparency and obsolete technology they brought, monopoly has been there, and also these matter reach to the courts, then delay a lot. Ultimately, industry could not be as successful as it should be here. So what could be the answer, you can say conclusion in the last. Suppose I say you want to write the conclusion of way forward. You want to conclude your answer, then I will say that what you have to say, that if any current affair major reforms have been done, you may also mention. For example, you can say to bring transparency or transparency in this sector in India, e-auction provision recently launched or e-auction provision started. Transparency that will enhance the income, that will also you can say removing the monopoly, that will also you can say reducing the illegal activities here. E-auction, more transparent, that one. And we have done also the amendment number of times, Mines and Mineral Development Regulation, MMDR, very famous you can say. Recently we have seen amendment 15 also, and 2021 as well, several times in last few years. And also some provision of NMET to explore with advanced technology these mineral resources की प्राइवेट कंपनीज आनी चाहिए और हम एक्सप्लोर भी करें. एक नेशनल मिनरल एक्सप्लोरेशन ट्रस्ट भी बनाया गया, रिसेंटली न्यूज़ में था ये करंट अफेयर्स में, NMET, नेशनल मिनरल एक्सप्लोरेशन ट्रस्ट. सो दीज आर इन राइट डायरेक्शन, राइट मूव. NMET and also district mineral foundation to improve the infrastructure for welfare scheme, so that the tribal people will also be participatory in that particular process rather than discouraging this mining process. We have to bring closer to them by welfare scheme, by developing the infrastructure, and district mineral foundation that we call. So DMF by MMDR 2015, district mineral foundation. This question even in PT examination earlier they asked. So you can get the previous information. For example, district mineral foundation, also National Mineral Exploration Trust, enhancing the exploration with advanced technology. We need advanced technology. तो जितना private investment बढ़ेगा by these amendment, so several these issues have been removed. कैप्टिव नॉन कैप्टिव का डिफरेंस खत्म कर दिया, लीज ट्रांसफर देना आसान हो गया है अब, MMDR अमेंडमेंट 2021. सो करंट अफेयर्स के जो इंफॉर्मेशन थी उनको इनकॉर्पोरेट करिए. एंड if you just use, you can say inverted comma, just you use the underline, you use the proper diagram like that as I have mentioned, then you will be definitely going to fetch more marks. So what is the thing here? Right now several dimensions we are making here, but in examination if you are able to use 70-80% or even 60% part, because you know it very well that we are not getting the full you can say the marks here, rather 55-60% marks, quite good marks you can say. So उस प्रेशर में अगर आप इसका आधा भी लिखते हैं that would be more than enough. And any new point in your mind, any new case study in brief if you mention like Niyamgiri etc., that will further enhance your answer in that way. Now second question we take up now here. And in second question, if I say that question number 6, what are the environmental implications of the reclamation of the water bodies into urban land use? Explain with the example. So this question on the expected line, so many questions in the past we have seen from the urban situation, urban flood, and the same way we have to think about, okay, environmental implication. So it is about the environmental implication. Especially once we reclaim the water bodies for particular urban land use, suppose building construction or road construction or industries or hotels to cater the tourism demand, industrial demand, then of course what we are doing, or ports and many more facilities, then we are basically acquiring that land that is easily you can say acquired, and protest is very less. Those are our poor water bodies. Some rivers people may encroach with the time, some lakes people can easily encroach in that area, some you can say ponds, tala, pokhar, these are filled up easily and raising the building on that. Even some marshy land, swampy area, forested area full of water like mangrove etc., then we are basically cutting it to construct the building, concretization. So these things too much in the news. I am sure that this question you have so many points, only you have to use your articulation and you have to rearrange it. You have to try to draw some diagram in between as well, and I will show that how can you do that. So what you have to do here, the key thing is not only the environmental implication, key thing was that explain with example. Here you can't rule out or deny the role of the example. With example you have to justify. Earlier question also I have given the example of Niyamgiri, Dongriya Kond tribe issue, or Israelite issue, or POSCO issue, or Bellary issue, or this Balladilla issues, many more issues in case studies you have in the mineral. But that particular question not having the example, but here examples especially mentioned. So examiner will judge your answer with examples. So what you have to consider, that water bodies, if we are turning into building, road, industry, suppose any lake or any, you can say the body is there and we are basically making the building in that surrounding, or we are filling this area by certain material, then we are raising the building on that, or making the hotel on that, or making the road on that, like that. Then which examples you have, which rivers have been encroached? Then I will say you need not to worry the river's name. You go to any big city, either Delhi, Yamuna river you see, encroachment, massive encroachment in the Yamuna flood plain, और यमुना के बैंक के चारों ओर देखेंगे बिल्डिंग बनती जा रही हैं, यमुना सिमट कर नाले के रूप में हो गई, रिवर टू सीवर जर्नी. सेम विद मीठी रिवर ऑफ मुंबई, it has been severely encroached. Same with the Chennai, the Adiyar Kom River. Same with Musi River of Hyderabad. Same way the Mula Mutha River of the Pune. Same way the river of even in Srinagar surrounding the Jhelum River, which has been encroached a lot. Even you can say the Patna side, even the Ganga bank even. So any big river, small river, then you will see the encroachment is very common. Not only rivers, but also the lakes, Belandur Lake of Bangalore, lots of discussion in the past. Also Deepor Bill of the Assam, also the Badkal Lake of Faridabad, which has been drying up completely. If you go there, you see no water is left there. So already we have acquired, we have damaged this part, the water bodies. But why I am saying that once you take the example, so I will say that you just focus that which cities you know along the rivers. Then you will say, okay, Yamuna I know along the Delhi. Even I know the Meethi River, Mumbai, very famous. Also Musi River, Hyderabad. So I will say, okay, you pick Yamuna. You pick, with example, the Musi. You pick the Meethi in the rivers. Because almost, if you see the big cities, either Ahmedabad, Sabarmati, or you can say even part of Ganga near Patna, or Allahabad, or Prayagraj, or Varanasi, or many more places you can say Gomti, and Mula Mutha River of, you can say, of Pune, or Adiyar Kom of the Chennai. You don't have the scarcity of the examples. Actually, most of the big cities have been developed not only in India but worldwide along the river bank, along the lake. Freshwater bodies were required. Ancient civilization flourished near the river bank. Adiyar Kom. And few example in your mind, for example, Yamuna, Delhi, Agra, etc. Mathura, Musi, Hyderabad, Meethi, Mumbai, Sabarmati, Ahmedabad, Ganga, Patna, Varanasi, etc., Kanpur, Gomti, Lucknow, Mula Mutha, the Pune, Adiyar, the Chennai. So many water bodies, the river water bodies which are passing through, which are having the movement in city side, urban area. One or two example if you have, suppose you don't know Musi, you don't know Gomti, you don't remember Mula Mutha, Diyar Kom, then you know the okay Yamuna, or you can say the kind of river Meethi of Mumbai, etc. So 2 or 3 rivers you can pick. I'm not saying all the rivers. Similarly, some lakes in your mind you can have. For example, which lakes? The one lake of the Bangalore, too much in the news, Belandur Lake. Belandur of Bengaluru, known for its stinky or foam or fire as well in these lakes. So Hindu में pages के pages आए Belandur Lake पर. Also you can say the kind of other lakes if you want to mention their name like Badkal Lake, Faridabad, or any other wetland also you talk about. It is not here. Deepor Bill in Assam, and also we can say several other lakes you may put here. Those are encroached as well in India. Not only that river lake, but some marshy land, swampy area, swamps और marshy land, दलदली जमीन जहाँ पे पानी है, swamps, marshy land, like mangrove area, coastal forest we have around Mumbai, around Chennai, around several coastal cities, mangroves, or even other forests as well, or other trees and vegetation. Or wetland we can say, these water bodies even we can call wetlands. Wetlands under Ramsar Convention. So many things we are aware of. So 2 or 3 or 4 example you can choose. Okay, one lake, okay, Belandur is enough. 2 or 3 river, Meethi, Adiyar Kom of Chennai, and Musi of Hyderabad and Yamuna of Delhi is enough. Also mangrove example near Chennai, near Mumbai, and also some forested area, RA forest of Mumbai, etc. So what you have to see, okay, examples I have to choose. So from current affairs, whatever you have in your mind, then you can pick those kind of example. Then you have to simply go for your logic that what would be the environmental implication. So it is the river we are encroaching, it is the lake we are encroaching, it is the swampy marshy area, daldali zameen that we are encroaching. So it is definitely going to affect the water resources of the city. Either the pollution, or you can say the water loss, or you can say both, that would be. So one thing regarding with water, the implication, because environmental implication. Second thing in your mind should be like that water means life. So fish of that area, or even you can say several other biodiversity, vegetation, and many life, that will also be affected once water will be either polluted or water will be removed to make the building concretization. Then this loss will be there, fish loss and many more species loss, many more plantation loss or deforestation, etc. Even you may think on that line that these kind of pollution, etc. will also, you can say, the kind of soil, land degradation, air pollution as well. कई तरह gases निकलेंगी, इनको हम जब pollute करेंगे इन water bodies को, तो गंदगी बाहर आएगी, no doubt. So pollution of different kind. Even you can say in coastal area, once we cut the mangrove, we are allowing saline water, soil salinity, water salinity, and जो पानी बचा कुचा है, soil बची कुची, वो भी खराब हो जाएगी, salinity बढ़ जाएगी. So several aspects regarding soil, regarding air, regarding water, regarding land, regarding biodiversity, regarding the human being, the epidemics, all are environmental implication. So once you have to deal with that part, what I will advise here, that some example you have to remember, and other than example, if I say that you have to even deal with the implication, environmental implication. Then first implication in your mind should be water based, water related, hydrological, water related or hydrological. Either you write water related, if you are even able to write some technical term, okay, it will be good. Hydrological aspects, how the hydrological cycle is getting affected by you can say removing the water bodies or encroaching that area for urban land use, making the industries, making the hotels, making the buildings in that area. Hydrological, you can say the cycle or hydrological aspects. For example, if you talk about, we say the river. Suppose any river you talk about, suppose you take the one river, you can say that is, you can say the Meethi river, for example. Meethi, a famous river passing through which city? Mumbai. Then, as population pressure in Mumbai you all are aware of, you may start with that. What should be your introduction in that? That rapid urbanization, as population got increased considerably, is causing massive pressure on our water bodies. And these water bodies are being turned into the buildings, roads, ports, and hotels to cater the demand. For example, several rivers, wetlands, lakes got affected badly by that. Like in Mumbai, the Meethi river, this river, the Meethi river. Then, for example, so many buildings have come near the Meethi river. Then Meethi size got decreased. So what we are doing through the urban land use, so many building construction, either Yamuna or Musi or Meethi or Adyar Kom in several cities. If you just take the example, then these rivers, if I say, then once you will decrease the width of the river flow, then definitely water will overflow. During the rainy season, once rainy season will be there, like in monsoon season, rainy season, monsoon season, in July 2005, we have seen the massive urban flood in Mumbai. Unexpected flood, too much water in Mumbai, that was that Methi river. So several other aspects you can say, the heavy rainfall in the time of climate change, cloud burst, you can say heavy rainfall, and we are living not in normal time, rather climate change time. Sea level is rising, and also you can say suddenly cloud burst, etc. Then massive rainfall, badal phatne se. Then we have seen that water encroached the air. So basically people or scholars even used to say हम नदियों का साइज कम कर रहे हैं तो नदियाँ फ्लड उगलेंगी, अर्बन फ्लड. बेसिकली इसको ये भी कहा जाता है कि हम नदियों का गला घोट रहे हैं, इनको तो मजबूरी में आके उसको कुछ करना पड़ेगा. So basically it is a response of the river. Once we will decrease the size of the river basin, river region, then river will overflow, and this overflow will lead to flood. The massive flood will be there. Same thing, the same diagram, only you remove the Methi and you put here the Adyar river, Kom river of Chennai. Then 2015, in December month, 2015. So we are not here to remember the December or July, etc. But we will say, okay, Chennai flood, Mumbai flood in the past, recent past, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 21st century's example you may take. For example, Chennai flood 2015, the Mumbai urban flood of 2005, and subsequently Mumbai में कई बार और बार flood आई है, चेन्नई में भी flood आई है, as we all are aware of. That has become a kind of yearly scenario in few areas in Mumbai, Chennai in rainy season. वो अलग बात है, चेन्नई में नॉर्थ ईस्ट मानसून से रेनफॉल होती है, मुंबई में साउथ ईस्ट मानसून से रेनफॉल होती है. देन द टाइम पीरियड इज डिफरेंट. इन चेन्नई वी एक्सपेक्ट द रेनफॉल इन दिसंबर and November month, but in Mumbai, July, August, the time of the flood. But urban flood is very common because we have encroached our water bodies like rivers. Same with Musi river in 2020, the Hyderabad flood. This question also came in your exam, in mains examination 2020 में जो flood आई थी. Last year we have seen Musi flood, Pune flood, Musi Hyderabad flood. So October month we have seen, in October 2020, the Musi flood. So what is the question here? That we have to first keep in our mind some examples, and then using those examples we have to proceed by simple way that water is bound to be affected, or water related issues or hydrological aspects will be definitely there. First will be the urban flood as the encroachment of that. But if I say that this encroachment of buildings, etc., encroachment of river basin or river surrounding, river basin will cause urban flood, as I have given you the example through the rivers. But same thing you can say lakes वगैरह को भी, ponds को भी. Then of course what we are doing, we are releasing, or we are basically deliberately releasing this water to our area. हम फिर कहते हैं बाढ़ आ गई हमारे एरिया में, शहरों में बाढ़ आ गई. बेसिकली नदी बाढ़ लेके नहीं आई है, हम नदी के एरिया में आ गए, इनके फ्लड प्लेन में आ गए हैं, उनको इनक्रोच कर चुके हैं. एंड इफ वी से दैट अनदर पार्ट, सपोज इनक्रोचमेंट बाय concretization, building construction, massive concrete, then one more problem would be there, that this concrete will lead to one more problem, that suppose in our rivers, in our lakes, we fill this area by concrete. Then if rainfall will occur, where this water will go? That has become impervious, impermeable. Concrete is impervious, impermeable, will not allow water to go inside. So where this water will go? We have made the building in all surrounding. So water, neither we are basically allowed to go to outside city, nor to going down groundwater. So ultimately no groundwater recharging as well. So even one more hydrological aspect will be what? Other than flood, which another aspect? The groundwater recharging. So you may also say that groundwater recharging will decrease, and ultimately, especially in the flood plain area, जैसे यमुना का एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं. What we have done, कि यमुना flood plain heavily populated, तो यमुना के सराउंडिंग पर हमने इतना कॉन्क्रीटाइजेशन कर दिया है, नोएडा एंड दिस साइड द दिल्ली साइड, दैट दिस यमुना रिवर you can say the flood plain surrounding area of the Yamuna, then if rainfall will occur, it is not going down. Concretization, then groundwater has decreased considerably. So you will see either Hyderabad, same thing, or Delhi, same thing. Groundwater is depleting faster because rain is unable to go down or recharge the groundwater table. So groundwater is fastly depleting, you can say. So that is also the key aspect in hydrological cycle. So it is extreme situation. If water through the rain we are unable to hold in our you can say flood plain, in soft area, in permeable rock, by concretizing that, so we are basically allowing more water on the surface, and this water will lead to flood because there is no way out. The रास्ता जो वे है जो पानी ले जाने का नदियों का, वो हमने रोक दिया है, तो पानी बीच में उफान आ जाएगा, रेनी सीजन में फ्लड हो जाएगी. सो फ्लड एंड ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्जिंग, यही पानी अंदर चला गया होता, कंक्रीट ना होता, रिवर्स में इंक्रोचमेंट ना होता, पॉन्ड में, लेक में इंक्रोचमेंट ना होता, यमुना में, मूसी में एंड ऑल दी मूलामुथा रिवर, देन ऑफ कोर्स नो ग्राउंड वाटर प्रॉब्लम, नो फ्लड प्रॉब्लम, even no pollution problem, because you know it very well, when this water will overflow because concretization more flood. So during flood time, even the water pollution water is undrinkable. People those basically drink this dirty water, then epidemics in Chennai time, the epidemics, Mumbai also the epidemics. So after the urban flood, the epidemics by taking the polluted, contaminated drinking water. So we are basically through concretization losing our surface water as well, losing our ground water as well. River का पानी भी खत्म कर दिया, ground का पानी भी खत्म कर दिया, तो surface water भी कम हो गया, ground water भी कम हो गया. So we can say like that. And even if I say that one more issue is hydrological aspect is what? That we are also by cutting the trees in surrounding area as well. Suppose in Chennai, suppose in Mumbai, several examples are there, or Tuticorin port area or Ennore area. What we have seen that along the coastal line, deforestation, trees को कट कर दिया, और ट्रीज जनरली वाटर बॉडीज वाले जोन में कोस्टल एरिया पे रहते हैं, ये फ्लड से कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, साइक्लोन से कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. तो बेसिकली इस तरीके से साइक्लोन की सिनेरियो भी कोस्टल एरिया में, और साइक्लोनिक फ्लड भी, साइक्लोन के साथ साथ फ्लड का चांस बढ़ गया है, सी लेवल भी राइज हो रहा है. देन विच काइंड ऑफ वाटर विल कम फ्रॉम सी? सलाइन वाटर. और ये सलाइन वाटर धीरे धीरे ग्राउंड वाटर में भी जा रहा है, फ्रेश वाटर को भी कंटेमिनेट कर रहा है. तो जो स्वैम्पी एरिया थे, मार्शी एरिया थे, आर फॉरेस्ट और मैंग्रोव्स ऑफ मुंबई इन बुलेट ट्रेन प्रोजेक्ट एज वेल, इन एनोर ऑल्सो कई प्रोजेक्ट्स. तो यू मे टेक द कोस्टल एरिया एग्जाम्पल एज वेल. इन कोस्टल एरिया डिफॉरेस्टेशन लाइक आर फॉरेस्ट एग्जाम्पल. These forests also we are losing, plus we are basically losing a kind of buffer that would be control the flood coming from the sea, saline water flood, oceanic flood due to the cyclone time or due to the kind of sea level rise. ये जो खारा पानी वो पहुंच नहीं पाया करता था पहले, पर अब आने लगा है. वो ग्राउंड वाटर में भी सीपेज कर रहा है, वो सरफेस वाटर को भी कंटेमिनेट कर रहा है, वो सॉइल को भी सलाइन कर रहा है. तो वी आर ऑब्जर्विंग also these aspects. So other than hydrological aspects, you can talk about overall soil land degradation. क्योंकि बिल्डिंग के थ्रू गार्बेज भी इसमें आके मिलता है, कचरा भी आके मिलता है, गार्बेज एटसेट्रा. तो सॉइल लैंड डिग्रेडेशन, गार्बेज, सलाइन वाटर, all together. So many things. But one more thing is pollution of different kind, not only saline water issue. This garbage or sewage that is generally going to stagnant water bodies like lakes, लेक में जो गंदा पानी जा रहा है, वो नदियों में भी जो गंदा पानी जा रहा है. सो लिटिल बिट अबाउट दैट थिंग ऑल्सो यू मे नोट डाउन दैट जो हमारी लेक्स हैं लाइक बेलांदूर लेक, जो सीवेज आ गया, लिक्विड वेस्ट ऑफ बेंगलोर इन बेलांदूर लेक, घरों से निकलने वाला गंदगी जो आ रही है, और ये गार्बेज वगैरह भी, कूड़ा कचरा भर दिया हमने, तो लेक भी, ये लेक का साइज भी कम हो गया, इंक्रोच कर दिया, और इससे डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्टिंकी स्मेल दैट इज कॉजिंग प्रॉब्लम टू द पीपल, मोर पॉल्यूशन, इवन फायर. इसमें कुकिंग ऑयल वगैरह भी, घर से निकलने वाला कुकिंग ऑयल वगैरह मिल जाता है, तो ये आग लगाने का काम भी करते हैं, इसकी लाइफ भी खत्म हो रही है. और ये गंदगी ऐसे यमुना के अंदर देखेंगे, यमुना में इतने केमिकल आ रहे हैं इंडस्ट्रीज से, केमिकल एफुलुएंट, आइदर बेलांदूर लेक और यमुना, केमिकल एफुलुएंट. यहाँ गुलाबी गुलाबी रंग के, नीले पीले कलर के झाग दिखाई पड़ने लगते हैं. लोग देखने को उतरते हैं, ओके तो कुछ देखने में खूबसूरत सी जगह लग रही है, आइसबर्ग जैसे लगते हैं, बट बेसिकली ये केमिकल्स हैं जो इकट्ठे हो गए हैं. फ्रॉथ जो होता है, पिंक फ्रॉथ, कई तरह के झाग उड़ जाते हैं केमिकल एफ्लुएंट से. दूर से तो यमुना बहुत खूबसूरत लगती है कि अच्छा ये, बट जब लोग पास में जाके देखते हैं, स्टिंक की जो एक स्मेल आ रही होती है. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो यू कैन से दैट एनवायरमेंटल इम्प्लीकेशन, एयर पोल्यूशन, वाटर पोल्यूशन, सॉइल पोल्यूशन, लैंड पोल्यूशन, biodiversity loss is there, salinity also in the coastal area we have, also urban flood, that is the most discussed aspect in that area. But you have to keep in your mind that we have to use certain current information, and for that अपने लॉजिक के साथ आप कभी सिटीज के आसपास की रिवर को, लेक को, 2 या 3 को कंबाइन करके यू मे प्रोसीड. सो यू मे गिव द आंसर with this part, hydrological aspect, also the soil land aspect, biodiversity, and also one more thing in the last you may add कि जितना वाटर बॉडीज हम कम करेंगे, कंक्रीट को बढ़ावा देंगे, टेम्परेचर भी बढ़ाएगा सिटी का. ये वाटर टेम्परेचर को कम करता है by absorbing the heat that we call evaporation, cooling, latent heat of evaporation. बट अगर कंक्रीट हो जाएगा, कंक्रीट हीट को एब्जॉर्ब करता है, बिल्डिंग हीट को एब्जॉर्ब करेंगे, तो इससे टेम्परेचर ही बढ़ता है, हीट इंक्रीज, हीट आइलैंड ऑल्सो वी कॉल. तो कहीं ना कहीं ये वाला एरिया भी, तो दैट इज ऑल्सो द एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज. सो एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज ऑफ सेवरल काइंड यू आर अवेयर ऑफ. यू मे यूज ओनली थिंग एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू आप चल सकते हैं. एग्जाम्पल्स भी आपके पास बहुत सारे हैं, 3 या 4 एग्जाम्पल से भी काम चल जाएगा. बट सिस्टमेटिक एक्सप्लेनेशन, सम डायग्राम, सपोज इस तरह का डायग्राम बना सकते हैं आप, लाइक दैट, और फ्लड प्लेन. But what is the way out again if I say of this kind of thing? Then you may say in the last that to protect the urban area and its water bodies and overall ecosystem of urban area, then the concept of smart cities, also the cities of future, to meet the demand of sustainable development goal, SDG को पूरा करते हूँ. Also coastal regulation zone, we require strict implementation of coastal regulation zone. How mangroves are damaged, how these forests in the coastal area, how these rivers and the water bodies, lakes and these wetlands we are removing. सो कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन, कोस्टल एरिया में काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, चेन्नई में, मुंबई में. सो कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन, स्ट्रिक्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. सो CRZ, कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन. और यू कैन से एज सून एज एनक्रोचमेंट इन द फ्लड प्लेन एरिया, एनक्रोचमेंट ऑफ फ्लड प्लेन ऑफ द रिवर मस्ट बी रिड्यूस. जैसे कि यमुना रिवर है, यमुना रिवर के एरिया में फ्लड प्लेन से लोगों को हटाया जाए और इन एरिया को कंपनसेट रिहेबिलिटेशन दिया जाए, और इस एरिया में वी हैव टू मेक द पॉन्ड काइंड ऑफ थिंग, और गड्ढा बनाया जाए जिससे रेनफॉल का वाटर यहाँ अब्जॉर्ब हो जाए, फ्लड भी कंट्रोल होगा, ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्जिंग भी होगी, और फ्यूचर में पानी की किल्लत नहीं आएगी. स्कार्सिटी ऑफ वाटर विल नॉट बी द फिनोमिना. सो दिस थिंग इज ऑल्सो एडवाइज कि यमुना के आसपास या दूसरी रिवर जो बड़ी बड़ी नदियाँ हैं, इनके फ्लड प्लेन को यूज़ करें हम पानी को इकट्ठा करने के लिए, ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्जिंग करने के लिए। फिल्टर होकर पानी अंदर जाएगा एंड दिस वाटर विल बी यूजफुल for meeting the demand of the people living in that area. So we have to create the win-win situation like creating the flood plain for water storage. तो इंक्रोचमेंट कम करके इसमें वाटर को स्टोर किया जाए, ग्राउंड वाटर की रिचार्जिंग करवाई जाए, वाटर टेबल को बढ़ाया जाए। सो ओवरऑल फ्लड को कम किया जाए, इंक्रोचमेंट को कम किया जाए एंड ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्जिंग की जाए। सो दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स यू मेंशन इन द ब्रीफ 1 or 2 line. And next question also, if you proceed, then next question, if we say here, the question regarding what is this term, the subcontinent India is considered as, that why is India considered as a subcontinent? Elaborate your answer. So basically this is a famous term for India, subcontinent. Not the continent, but subcontinent. It is also very special that worldwide the term subcontinent mainly for India and surrounding nations, small nation, which are considered on the name of India, Indian subcontinent. Though these countries got independence, Pakistan, Bangladesh from India, but still in the geographical, political, economic, and many more dimensions, the scholars and the people worldwide used to say this entire area is Indian subcontinent, including Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So it is basically a kind of area, the India, that is having so much influence in that. So this region is very distinct in its nature, or you can say it is very well demarcated, and scholars were forced to use this term, the Indian subcontinent. But if I say to call the subcontinent, some criteria should be there. So initially introduction, you may begin with that subcontinent is having the vast size as defined by several scholars. It should be vast size. If we are calling some area continent, subcontinent even Upahadip, vast size with distinct boundaries. And once on this ground we observe India, then you know it very well that once we check the Indian scenario in this part, suppose if I say in the diagram, suppose it is Africa, and this side we have the Gulf countries here, and then we have our country in this side, and then we say Southeast Asia and rest of the China and Asia, and then Europe as well, like that. Then you see in this particular part that one side we have the Himalaya, highest mountain barrier. No mountain could be comparable to Himalaya, the highest natural barrier, separating from China, Central Asia, this part, the Himalaya. Not only Himalaya, like that extension of Himalaya slightly taking this turn, syntaxial band or band here, northeastern region, and Arakan mountain of Myanmar, and this side the Hindu Kush separating India, or this zone from Afghanistan and another part of the Asia. So here we have the Hindu Kush region, HKH region, Hindu Kush, Himalaya, Karakoram, etc. So northward, if I talk about, this zone is having very significant natural barrier, Himalaya, and some mountains extension west and east, this side A for Arakan Yoma here. So you can say definitely distinct boundary made by which mountain? In the north, Himalaya, and westward which mountain? Hindu Kush. Also the term Hindu Kush is indicating Hindustan or Hindu Kush ke baad wala area. Entry to this area, the India or Hindu Kush, and this side Arakan in Myanmar boundary. And southward also massive water body, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and rest of the Indian Ocean. So Indian Ocean, you can say, even the name Indian Ocean. So mountain like Hindu Kush, the name like Indian Ocean, indicating that this particular terms indicating that this zone by the scholars actually called on the name of India, this zone, the subcontinental area, and definitely vast size means it is not too small, including this area. including Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, 7 countries we can say. So presently this subcontinent between mountains and Indian Ocean. So land between Indian Ocean and Himalaya and Hindu Kush and Arakan Yoma, this land very well protected, we call the Indian subcontinent, because it is definitely distinct boundary. Neither you will see Europe, that kind of distinct boundary, Ural mountain separating Asia and Europe, but easily cross Ural mountain. Similarly, you can say West Asia not having that kind of mountains. So cultural differences could be there in different area, but as far as geographically well-defined boundary, even several scholars, Professor Chisholm said that nature has demarcated the best region for subcontinent, that is India. तो इंडिया को एक बिल्कुल अलग थलग नेचर नहीं बना दिया है, वेल डिमार्केटेड एरिया. So you can say few scholars even mentioned that India is well demarcated by natural boundaries from all sides, is perfect to be called a subcontinent due to its vast size as well as the distinct boundary. But which other aspect other than that to say it is the continental like area or subcontinent Mahadweep, then even you will say that this boundary is even indicating that this land is very special in its geology as well. For example, just before I told you it remained a part of the Gondwana land. After detached from Gondwana land, it came here. So the plate, Indian plate. The geological aspect, that maximum part, even Sri Lanka is part of the Indian plate, Pakistan, Bangladesh the part of Indian plate like Nepal, Bhutan. So Indian plate part. Geologically large area is having one plate. Geological unity, only one plate, major part Indian plate. यूरोप के अंदर भी यूरेशियन प्लेट है, एशिया यूरोप का पार्ट शामिल है. कई दूसरे भी एरिया हैं जहाँ पे प्लेट अलग अलग हो जाती है. एक ही प्लेट में कई एरिया हैं बेसिकली, बट हमारे एरिया में एक इंडियन प्लेट वाला डिस्टिंक्शन है. ये एरिया इंडियन प्लेट वाला जोन है. So we can say geologically one unity, that Indian plate got detached from the Gondwana land, separate entity. So this geographically, this barrier, perfect barrier, even once geology and geography will uniting that, then even the climate will also unify that. This entire area once collided with Eurasia in the past, made the Himalaya, then monsoon also later on monsoon climate. ओशन की हवाओं ने पूरा रीजन एक पर्टिकुलर क्लाइमेट के तहत आता है, मानसून क्लाइमेट यूनिटी. हैवी रेनफॉल इन जून, जुलाई, अगस्त, सितंबर, मानसून क्लाइमेट यूनिटी, ट्रू मानसून, परफेक्ट मानसून, रिवर्सल ऑफ द विंड्स इन दैट एरिया. इन वन सीजन साउथ ईस्ट मानसून, अनदर सीजन विंटर टाइम अक्टूबर नवंबर द नॉर्थ ईस्ट मानसून. So this area monsoon climate unity. Even you see that after this natural aspects, you can say geological, climatic and natural boundaries distinction, even the history is also indicating the subcontinent nature the India is. You know it very well that outside the world it was a kind of challenge to cross the Hindu Kush through Khyber, and then they were very happy that they have entered the Indian land after crossing the Hindu Kush. And also several scholars like Vasco da Gama from south took too much time European to this area to India. So this area always attracted in the psyche of the people that one prosperous land, well protected, and historically the area, the India or Hindustan और past में जम्बू द्वीप भी से कहा गया, ancient scripture में जम्बू द्वीप, तो जम्बू द्वीप कभी कहा गया, कभी इंडिका कहा गया, कभी हिंदुस्तान, like that. Even the rulers of India verified that Ashoka ruled till Hindu Kush year. Same with Mughal rulers, same with British rulers as well. So whichever people, those have seen this part in historical aspect also as a single unit, never separated that area. Even not only historical aspects, like this area time to time remain under one single rule, historical aspects, Mughal rule, Ashoka rule, and also the British rulers, also the cultural aspects, because same kind of geography, same kind of geology, same kind of historical aspect, then culture will also be nearly same. You will see even the peopling of that area, racial intermingling that we call. race, racial intermingling as well. So you will see कि कितनी races यहाँ से आई, सेंट्रल एशिया से, वेस्ट एशिया से, बट जब ये क्रॉस करके इंटरमिंगलिंग हुई, देन आउटकम वाज ओनली द इंडियन. So once any Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan going to Europe or America, people can't figure it out whether this fellow is not Indian. They all will, okay, this area is South Asia, the Indian subcontinent people, these all are. So basically too much intermingling in racial aspect as well. The peopling, you can say, even the religion is also binding them. The several religions got evolved here, the religious unity, the Hinduism, later on the Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism. So religious unity as well in that area. And other religion people also came up, then intermingled with that. So we can say a different kind of system got evolved here. The language, Hindustani, and also the food as well. So this zone, we can say, by many ways, cultural, racial, religious, geographical, historical, and geological, is having its own unity, truly called as the perfect subcontinent. Within the continent, if any area perfectly demarcated by very distinct boundaries in historical, cultural, political aspects as well, then we can say this. Politically, it is called as South Asia, in which the India is dominating in that zone. So we can say this thing. So 3-4 points bhi aapke paas mein honge, that will be enough. But this diagram, if you are unable to draw, then what you can do? You have to draw a kind of V shape, and then you have to make like that, and you have to draw Himalaya here and some mountain like that, and then the water bodies. And this you can write the Indian subcontinent, this land, Indian subcontinent. So that thing will also be enough here. And the question afterwards, if we say, discuss the multidimensional implications of the uneven distribution of the mineral in the world. Then it is also a question that is very important or beautiful question, indicating that UPSC is puzzling you. UPSC is taking several tests from you, examining you. कि variety of the thinking, are you able to present here? Are you able to club several points here? Are you able to have the interdisciplinary approach? Are you able to go beyond the kind of lines have been written here? Can you link historical, political, economic and social aspects, several aspects, multi-dimensional aspects? And which multi-dimensional aspect we have here? The multi-dimensional aspects of distribution of mineral oil in the world, uneven distribution. Like Gondwana land, here it is mentioned first, uneven distribution of mineral oil. So initially in introductory part, if anyhow in the map you are able to show the mineral oil area, okay, it is uneven. Marine fossil crude oil or mineral oil is uneven, then what would be the what had been the impact in the past, still having some influences here. So are you able to mention these multidimensional aspects? Then I will say here that, for example, in the map here, it is South America, it is the kind of North American map. You may do some practice of simple kind of map without making very accurate thing. Then the Africa, and then the South America, this Gulf countries here, the Indian zone, then remaining the Arctic area and also the European area, and here the Australia and some islands this side, Japan, Philippines, Taiwan, and also several islands are there. But if I say crude oil, if I show in the entire world map, and only few key locations are there. So unlike other mineral, it is very, very uneven, this marine fossil. One significant area is this area that we call the Persian Gulf. P for Persian, G for Gulf, PG Persian Gulf area. That is full of crude oil, of course. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, these kind of names are there. We know all these. One area is also recently that is making lots of, you can say, the in the news as well, Arctic area that is fastly being explored for crude oil and natural gas, Arctic shelf that we call. Number of questions on this area also in Arctic region we have seen. Full of crude oil as well, especially Russia, one country in that area major claim. But also in Arctic ka jo ye wala area, Alaska, because Earth is round in shape, Alaska will come very close to here as well, Alaska. Also, one more area in far-flung area, Venezuela, one country in South America. Also, this Gulf of Mexico. Also, in Caspian Sea region, in Central Asia and Caspian Sea, CS Caspian Sea, PG Persian Gulf. Also, South China Sea. In case of India, it is Mumbai High, only this much. So, in Africa, it is Nigeria, for example, or few places like that. Mainly Nigeria. So what we are observing in vast, you can say size and around 200 countries, only few places having the sizable crude oil that is making the fulfilling the demand of the countries. Persian Gulf, Caspian Sea region, South China Sea region, Arctic Shelf, Alaska, Gulf of Mexico, Venezuela, Nigeria, etc. Even you remember Persian Gulf and Arctic Shelf, it is enough for your answer. And how can you proceed here? Question is not a single dimension, rather multi-dimension of the distribution. So initially distribution is necessary. So you may begin with that marine fossil crude oil is of course highly uneven in its distribution in some onshore and offshore region. Offshore means slightly away from the coast, like Persian Gulf area में भी offshore है, कुछ onshore भी है, like in Assam, etc. or in land area, onshore offshore reserve. And one diagram like map Persian Gulf or Arctic Shelf you can show. Either you show only this part, no need to show South America, only this part even you show, it is enough. Then giving one hint to the examiner that this uneven distribution has made this crude oil is strategic in nature. Anything that is uneven, less in supply, become strategic. Just like China ने मोनोपोली कर ली है रेयर अर्थ मिनरल में, तो कंट्रीज उसकी ओर झुक चुके हैं रेयर अर्थ लेने के लिए. सिमिलरली बहुत से कंट्रीज, गल्फ कंट्रीज ने, रशिया ने इसको स्ट्रेटेजिक बना दिया है कि स्ट्रेटेजिक सेल भी करते हैं और अपनी कंडीशन भी लाते हैं. दैट वी कॉल कार्टेलाइजेशन, मोनोपोली, कार्टेलाइजेशन. It is not energy crisis, that is very one part, but we can say the kind of implication, cartelization or monopoly of few countries, and they made one group even, OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, including Gulf countries and countries like Nigeria, Venezuela. But nowadays one more term, OPEC plus, including Russia as well. Russia also has become that. And they purposefully time to time reducing the supply so that some countries which are not having the crude oil as uneven distribution like India, like many more countries, those can't have that kind of surplus, and they are bound to purchase at high cost. So we have seen that time to time OPEC plus or even in the past one OPEC group, they increase their prices by cutting down the supply. So we can say that cartelization, monopoly. But that is one part. Another implication, if I talk about here, implication, geopolitical implication. Geopolitics of crude oil is one of the best defined geopolitics. If you see that since the Gulf countries, the Persian Gulf area like Saudi Arabia, like Iran, Iraq, crude oil wealth got discovered, the geopolitics got changed, and we have seen that USA, UK, they tried their best to come to that area to get the crude oil, because these the countries earlier the desert countries and poor countries, and as in 1920 the crude oil discovery in that area in Persian Gulf area, then geopolitics around Persian Gulf got changed forever, and we have seen some negative implication of that. That is quite dangerous for several countries, even for these countries, Persian Gulf area. So centrality of geopolitics towards this, you can say, centrality, you can say, in several ways. What America and UK did, you can say UK, USA, several European countries here, once they realized that this crude oil is very much required to fuel their automobile industries and many more industries and the basic energy source, then they have sent these MNCs to control that. So these countries actually purposefully made their puppets the monarch of these countries rather than democracy as in other countries. Purposefully in that area we have seen those people could act like a puppet of the developed countries, and accordingly doing their job, they would be ruler here rather than democratic or from the public. So we have seen that through UK, USA and number of European countries, in these countries in Persian Gulf area, several monarchs, you can say, still monarchy, Rajshahi, family, and the people of that area having the suffocation. And this monarchy is, you can say, not having the ability to see the larger dimensions, and then their kind of policies are dividing the people here. Then we are observing civil wars in these countries through suffocation. Yemen, Saudi Arabia civil war. Also we are observing even the religious differences have come. They are unable to see the larger context, and small, you can say, their motives are there only to remain in power. So you can say Iran and Iraq, you can say, even कभी-कभी fully बड़ी war भी हुई है, Iraq-Kuwait war in the past to get the crude oil reserve. Then Iraq has attacked on Kuwait. Later on, USA also got an opportunity to show the fear of Saddam Hussein. Then we have seen the wars, you can say Iran-Iraq war, Iran-Kuwait war, Iraq-Kuwait war, and still several civil war, you can say Yemen, Saudi Arabia, also divisions, Qatar, Iran, kya Saudi Arabia se division hai, like that. So we are observing this entire area has become quite volatile. Even one country, Israel, that is also a good ally of the US and UK, is having issues in that region. Entire area has become more unstable area. No democracy in maximum countries, and also more civil wars. Also, in few decades back, we are observing terrorism also got increased. So we are observing even this kind of policies of the monarchy led to the terrorism in that area. Terror organization, terror group also asserting of these resources. They feel that the resources must be controlled, and then they have come up like Boko Haram in Nigeria. A good example that outsiders are taking their wealth to the organization Boko Haram, trying their best to show that they are the real, you can say, same in Al-Qaeda in Gulf countries, and also many more organizations have come up. So we can say when the terror groups having the kind of connectivity, the ways to get the crude oil of that area. So we may link monarchy, we may link civil war. In the past, some example, we may link the terror groups even, or terrorism. And even we can also notice in recent times that the kind of geopolitics, that uneven order or world order, we are observing despite their weaknesses and wrong policies or human rights violation, number of countries are mum on that. So we can say that the world order also is unjust world order we have seen in that area. They are mum on civil wars, they are mum on monarchy, they are mum on these policies which are burning this area plus impact is being seen all around the world. We are observing. Even you can say some routes like Suez Canal route, Persian Gulf route, and these routes, now the competition, we will get more share. China is also becoming one player. But China, we are observing, now recognize the importance of this area. Then China is focusing on Arctic Shelf as well, in Persian Gulf as well through BRI, and also in South China Sea, also China considering. So we are observing the hegemony of China, Russia, and many more Gulf countries here. But one more angle is there of that pollution. Once we extract the crude oil in that area, like Arctic Shelf, it is polar area, sensitive area, ice वाला जोन है, ऑलरेडी क्लाइमेट चेंज का शिकार हो रहा है, तो यहाँ पर पॉल्यूशन बहुत बढ़ रहा है, ऑयल स्पिलिंग वगैरह. सो वी आर ऑब्जर्विंग द ऑयल स्पिलिंग. दूर दराज के एरिया हैं, फार फ्लंग एरियाज हैं, एंड वी हैव टू कंसीडर कि सम ऑयल स्पिलिंग फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एंड impact on biodiversity as well. Same in Persian Gulf as well, the crude oil impact, pollution that is enhancing. Similarly, other than pollution, environmental issues, even we can say that some countries, if not able to accept the order of the USA and China, etc., then some countries got isolated, like Venezuela. Despite crude oil rich country, the country that is not following the USA policy, then Venezuela may economic crisis. So Venezuela economic crisis facing. Similarly, we have seen that trade deficit in India, inflation, trade deficit, those countries highly dependent upon these countries. So they have the trade deficit, they have the high level of inflation, and burden on their overall economy is very much clear, and ever increasing the fuel prices as number of countries we are observing. So what we have to say, that once you deal with that topic, then energy crisis due to uneven distribution is only one dimension, but bigger dimension is geopolitics. That is basically in the form of indicated like civil war, like you can say that terror organization, like monarchy, like you can say the kind of unjust world order, favoring despite knowing that problems in that region, human rights violation in that region, but even though this thing, बड़ा अजीब सी बात है कि जहाँ भी क्रूड ऑयल है वो एरिया अनस्टेबल है. सेंट्रल एशियन एरिया, कैस्पियन सी रीजन, कजाकिस्तान में क्राइसिस यू कैन सी. So same in Gulf countries, the most volatile area. Venezuela now you can say economically unstable. Nigeria is perfect example here. So even Russia, continuously you can say NATO, Russia crisis in that zone. So we can say that the uneven distribution led to the problems of many kinds, especially related to the geopolitics or strategic aspects, those having the economic, political, social, cultural repercussions in the form of these problems. And even we can say that environmental issues like pollution and biodiversity issues of crude oil exploration. And if we want to handle that thing, so what should be the way out here in the last? The way out, you would say that rather than crude oil dependence, countries must try their best for mixed energy basket. It is not, you can say, the single energy, that would be good. Mixed energy basket concept to deal with the energy security. Besides getting the energy security, this problem will also be sorted out. A right message would be given to entire world that energy should not be single, it should not be strategic. No mineral, no commodity should be strategic to influence the countries and their economy to a bigger scale. And for that, we need to use the ubiquitous or renewable energy sources, plenty you can say available, like one sun, one world, one grid, or you can say the solar alliance. Plenty of solar energy in several countries could be used, wind energy, the biomass energy, and several other options. Ocean thermal energy, we have to use ocean, we have to use hydrogen mission. So we can say renewable clean green energy, that would be the better way. Energy security, it will be give better competition, and सभी कंट्रीज के पास कुछ ना कुछ सोलर है, किसी के पास विंड का पोटेंशियल होगा, किसी के पास ओशन का पोटेंशियल होगा, तो दे वोंट बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन ओनली ऑन द क्रूड ऑयल. So we can say that mixing the energy through biofuel, through hydrogen fuel, through solar energy, through wind energy, through ocean thermal energy, so that could be the way out, that we call the mixed energy basket. So these dimensions also you may mention. So here I would say that respect the questions of the UPSC, and this is telling us that so many dimensions are there. Do not confine the questions into 2 or 3 dimensions. It must be our habit to look for several aspects, and with the particular example, case study in the brief, we can substantiate our answer. If any diagram, any map in geography, that would be wonderful, and we can support with data, that is also wonderful. In conclusive remarks, some pragmatic or positive note, that is also good. But I would say again that everybody has its own way, own flair. Purpose is what? That you must try to articulate yourself to your own ability, but having the sincere approach, having the honest effort, you can say, and you will see definitely whichever question is coming up, you may write definitely in a good manner than your expected ways. जब आपके जो अप्रोच होगी वो सही होगी, उसके पीछे का आपने प्रैक्टिस भी की होगी. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दिस सेशन, एंड सी यू सून अगेन. थैंक यू.